Good afternoon. You're welcome to the program, The Polity. The Polity is a program that takes a deep dive into unfolding political events within Nigeria and beyond the shores of the country. It's coming to you live from the Abuja studios of King Adamawa Film and Theatre Arts Network, commonly referred to as KAFTANTV. My name is Macauley Hunohashi, welcoming all our esteemed viewers from around the world for joining us on The Polity this afternoon. We're going to open our telephone line in the course of the show, but first of all, at this auspicious time, let me introduce my special guest who has already joined me live in the studio to take a look at this conversation today. He's no other person than Dr. John Ngamsa. John Ngamsa, you're welcome to The Polity.
Thank you, Macauley. It's nice meeting you at this bright and good-looking studio.
That's right. John is like the special advisor to the Adamawa State Governor on communications and strategy. Well, let's begin. So much is happening within the country. Sometimes you begin to wonder where you start from. You know, so many challenges, and government is working so assiduously at different levels to surmount them. But let's take a look at the security situation of the country. There's relative calm in almost part of the country, particularly where you're coming from, Adamawa. In the last 2 decades or so, the country has been plunged into all kinds of insecurity, ranging from kidnappings to banditry to the Boko Haram menace in the northwest. And Adamawa State had its own fair share of the insecurity that prevailed. But there's relative peace today, like I said earlier. Give us the situation report of Adamawa State, from your own perspective.
I always have a way of telling people that Adamawa State is the total picture of Nigeria itself, no matter the small geographical space it occupies, at least in the landmass. Due to the fact that Adamawa State is quite a complex state, made up of quite a number of ethnicities, about the highest in Nigeria, and the uniqueness of our own features have something to do with the idea of our placement, given the kind of things that are going on as far as Nigeria is concerned. One would have known that Adamawa is a space challenged by quite a number of things. First, the long straight border between Adamawa State, or between Nigeria and Cameroon, which spans nothing less than 500 kilometers, directly. And then there is a river corridor connecting, that's where the Benue starts in Cameroon, and it folds back and runs larger into Nigeria. Then you look at the northern fringe, where we're bordering Borno State, notoriously known for the insurgency of the Boko Haram, and quite a number of other things that are streaming from stretches of Mubi and other places into us. Then you look at also the difficulty of bordering, other states close to us, like Gombe State, like Taraba. And any state with this kind of a geography, is definitely going to be exposed to quite a number of challenges, ranging from security to economic, and then also immigration issues and whatnot. So it requires, some kind of organization and attentiveness of somebody who knows what he's doing to truly stabilize the nation from that particular perspective. So when it comes to the issues of security, I tell you, Adamawa State has been a great stabilizer of a number of those issues going around. Cross-border smuggling, small arms, whatever, and having for BH. And you also have to understand that the first major declaration of Boko Haram of their own republic, with their headquarters in Mubi, that was quite outrageous. And comfortably, I can tell you that existed, and the security services knew how they had to use Yola, as some kind of a stepping stone, to solve a number of the problems going around the Boko Haram and also cross-border issues. Then came the story, of a governor that I can comfortably tell you is divine intervention in our own affairs due to the kind of energy that Governor Umaru Ahmadu Fintri, was able to put, together, at least to ensure that he sets in an expansive and a very good security administration, at least to take charge of some of these challenges. And that's the reason why I can tell you that space in the past 6 years now have been experiencing relative peace, consistent enough, and he has used his strategic security initiatives and givings at least to do that which is right in stabilizing the environment, particularly dealing timely, responding to the administrative needs, of the security men that are fighting insurgents, at least in that area. That, I think, is one of the success stories that you can see, that a number of things are surrounded around Adamawa, and Adamawa is stabilizing the entirety of the Northeast zone.
Well, Mubi, you have alluded to the fact that Mubi fell to Boko Haram insurgents, and they occupied 2 local governments and even hoisted their flags in those 2 local government areas. But today, there is general peace. Life normalcy has returned to Mubi as the commercial hub of the Northeast.
Yeah, of the Northeast.
Now, but I've met people, I've discussed with people who have a fixated mindset about that narrative. What can you say to those kind of people, by way of changing their perception towards that fixated mindset about lack of peace in Mubi?
Yeah, you see, amazingly, like you rightly said, Mubi, it's an international trade center from time immemorial because of its proximity, to Cameroon, and from Cameroon also the geography connecting even Central Africa and Chad and other places like that. So it's true that Boko Haram were there, but I think they came in there at the nick of their wanting to just do a hype of trying to prove that they have something to do, which was not actually grounded. But we're grateful that the good intervention of the government then happens to be a stepping stone that this present administration built on to clear the place and to make it safer than expected. Before Mubi, if you're coming from the northern part, you have to come through Madagali, Michika, and then you begin to move on like that. So at that moment, when they blocked that area, God was so magnanimous in his own way, helping us to have a governor that comes from one of those stretched areas, and he has grassroots knowledge of the kind of things that obtains there. And given the fact that he is somebody of the soil, he knows the terrain equally, he knows how to actually appeal to some of those things to make them work. And they work. So Mubi is now in a very clear-cut, straightforward environment, hosting a number of our institutions, both state, and federal. There are 2 universities there, one Federal University of Agriculture, the other one State University, which is big enough. And then we have a Federal Polytechnic in Mubi, and the School of Health, is about migrating from that place to Michika, thereby making the environment clear-cut enough and safe for people to move in. If you go into Mubi presently, you'll be so excited that the space is good and people are moving about their commercial activities effectively. And I can comfortably tell you that Adamawa, by whatever it is lucky to have said that that town in itself, as cosmopolitan as it is, have housed about 3 good governors coming entirely from that space called Mubi, and then appending themselves to other local governments like Madagali, Michika. So we've had Boni Aruna from Michika, and Omar Ahmad Fintli from Madagali, and Balangilari, even on the transition, right, and quite a number of prominent persons, like Bindo, for instance, also from Governor Bindo from Mubi. So I think that articulated sense of concern for that particular region have given them the opportunity, to kind of unite and to look for how to make the place safer. Comfortably, I can tell you that our elders and our own stakeholders in Adamawa State, when it comes to issues of security, they're always together trying to look for solutions that will make places safer. And that we've enjoyed very well. And Mubi is actually moving on fine. And don't forget that it's also, a city of an emir. And virtually the traditional ruling institution there is also doing well, given, the hand and the promotion and the encouragement, from the governor himself, to traditional rulers to ensure that they have safe domains good enough to help the government to move on.
Well, Borno State is a contiguous state, to Adamawa, and I'm aware of the collaboration between Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State and Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri, particularly in the area of tackling insecurity. Could you tell us the results of those collaborations in recent times?
Yeah, I think looking at the partnership existing, between Babagana Zulum and my own governor in my state, it's been quite cordial and good enough. And recently, even when Borno State had a mishap of flooding of Maiduguri, my governor was one of the first to be there with intervention of not only cash, but even boats. And I believe that obtains and it applies to other intelligence and information they have to share, at least good enough to spur the security agents to sit up. Now, when you are a governor and you're sitting, definitely there are certain things you see more than the security services that don't have the spread. A governor has the administrative spread and the presence, through either the traditional council or through the government running agencies, good enough to give him the kind of information that is required. And my governor in Adamawa State and the governor of Borno State have been good partners in that. They've shared such information and have had reasons to keep the security agents on their own toes, good enough for them to meet up and do that which is expected of them. The two of them, they're hot and active. The two of them drive passion, for their citizens. Okay. And definitely you will understand that once you have such kind of people with high sense of emotional intelligence, definitely there's going to be a concentrated activity that will bring action into that place. So the senators from the areas also, they've not been bad on themselves. I believe they've had reasons to gotten collaborations and all these things are working at both intergovernmental and intragovernmental levels, at least to set the tone working enough. So I can tell you, my governor for one, has been a great stabilizer because he's bordering Borno, he's bordering Gombe, he's bordering Taraba. And so virtually you now see why you will have to see it. And internationally he's also bordering Cameroon. On the larger flank of things. So essentially, I always have a way of getting people's comments, talk about Amadou Umaru Fintri as a great security stabilizer of the Northeast Zone.
Okay, let's talk about this embarrassing spectacle of IDP camps in Adamawa State. I remember the Macauley camp, and the other one is the party or something like that. What's the situation today? Well,
I don't think there was anything too embarrassing. When you talk about IDPs coming into a place and being kept, and sometimes some people trying to make capital, out of nothing. You receive reports from people that have not been on ground, trying to make sense of what truly is not, and then it becomes nonsense at the end of the day. I know my governor in Adamawa State did his best in addressing IDP issues the best way. First, don't forget that his local government was also occupied and quite a number of people migrated. But he was fast in addressing those issues, even within that shortest possible time that he came in, of trying to make these people to have things that will help them to resettle. My governor was the first to ambitiously take a step into the development world and the NGOs and to invite them to come into the state and do what is sincerely required of them so they can be of help in doing it. And he took more of their reports, but attended more, to the material needs of most of these IDPs. And he's been able to do a lot of ambitious things that people are not talking about. For instance, sharpening skills of the IDPs, empowering women, giving them startups. And most recently, most of those IDP people, wherever they are, as long as they enrolled, into the IDP camps at the park, now they've been also placed on the Fintri wallet project, of the Paweka, putting in the best in there to ensure that quite a number of them, more than 3 times now, they've received packages and assistance of nothing less than 50,000 naira, at least for startups, which is keeping them, in addition to a lot of sewing machines that have been given, and in addition to quite a number of skills, of soap making and whatnot. I tell you, it's a success story now, rather than something you stay around and say. If you get in there, you're not likely to see people loitering any longer, in good number and struggling to survive. Out there are people that are being worked out, shown way to go, and given startups. They're into either farming now, fulfillment of the skills they've all acquired, and quite a number of the children are back to school and they're going back to school. So definitely if you go into Yola, you're not going to meet IDPs loitering or camped in a particular place. They've all been resettled and taken back to their own respective environments and are doing that which is right for them to exist.
Well, tell us more about the collaboration between Adamawa State Government and International Organization of Migration, where about 100 internally displaced persons from Macauley camp, benefited from the initiative of the Lands and Housing Scheme, where they even got certificate of occupancy.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is where it is quite amazing that from an IDP camp, you are now having a facility that is called your own. Is due to the ambitious, over 1,000 run into 2,000 housing scheme that Governor Amadou Umaru Fintri is putting up or has put in place. Virtually, when you look at that kind of initiative, it is only the initiative that works hand in hand with others, to make it be. And for his good relationship, with the Catholic system too, there is an ambitious work by the bishop, my lord, Dami Mamza, who has built an entire village, where quite a number of those people have found themselves, just ahead of Gire on the way to Mubi by the left-hand side.
That's right.
When you are going there, you just see a town, it's a town of interest, due to the partnership and the agreement between him and the government that have given him land, and then he also, in his graciousness, have done his best to attract funding, into that place. Now, I'll tell you that kind of collaboration that you've seen in the government of Amadou Fintri is quite great. You will accept with me that my Lord Bishop Dami Mamza, at the peak of the crisis when Mubi was taken and we had a lot of our own people being refugees in Cameroon, he was the first person to go in there with logistic support, financial support to bring people back. He was grossly aided and helped by the state government, given the expectation that immunity issues were worked out by the government itself. So in addition to that, he's still working, and my governor has exposed himself to quite a number of support and understanding. He calls in any expert to come in with what you have. Presently he has engaged, on an ambitious scale, the Comitas project funded by the EU, where 3 cardinal and standing non-governmental organizations are practicing. Even presently, I'm in town by the grace of one of them, that's Search for Common Grounds. On ground also, I'm made to understand that the Mercy Corps, is here in Adamawa, is here in Abuja with contingents from all across the Federation trying to look at climate issues, where Fintri himself collaborated with them and was the first to declare issues on environmental protection, banning hacking of trees and looking for options to do, which some of these organizations are flowing in. The third one is the International Organization on Migration, IOM. Given the fact that Adamawa has the largest animal population in terms of cows in the Federation. We have it more than any other zone, Adamawa State alone.
That's right.
And the activity which has accumulated into a robust economic venture, in the agropastoral business, have existed good enough and required a lot of attention from transhumans that flow in from other countries into our own space to graze and to also do business of buying and selling of cows. Now, you can see that the governor of Adamawa State really gave himself to what the NGOs are doing, and he gave them with also part of his policies and plans good enough that they're integrating and working to do that particular thing. They are robust in there. There is also the GIZ, the German International, whatever it is, cooperating and even working out to develop the capacities of traditional rulers in the area of managing some of those things. So we have a state that is quite busy. We have a state that is surely moving towards something, and we have a state that is open, to a lot of opportunities, for its own citizens and those in the establishment, including the farmers, the who, the what, good enough for them to flow in. And presently, you'll also be ambitious and eager enough to appreciate what he's trying to do. Now he's about, setting a committee to develop Adamawa master plan, for the next 25 years, whoever is going to be there. But I think seeing from the little he has done in 6 years is too much, because he has succeeded in making the infrastructural openness of the state to be large and good enough, putting infrastructure of traffic control, of roads rehabilitation, of roads building, of even rural development. That does not stop in the state capital only. When you go to every local government, there are quite a number of road projects going on there. So actually he has brought Adamawa State and has given Adamawa State a step that if somebody comes in here for the next 15 years, if you don't do roads in Yola particularly, nothing will happen to you, because the in and the outflow, the flyovers, the underpass, passage path,
before we get to that,
other things like that have been.
Before we get to that, you talked about the farmers. Now, gone are the days where, farmers, herders conflict was a daily occurrence. It dominated headlines in the last 10 years or so. But with the coming of Governor Fintri, that menace can be said to be completely eliminated. But the day before yesterday, he constituted a broader committee that will take a look at the farmers' herders conflict, even in the absence of such conflicts exacerbating. What was the reason?
I'm privileged to have been brought in to Fintri's development machine, even from the opposition. I was in the APC, that
I'm aware.
The previous year, all of us were. But then when he came in, he now insisted on trying to get people across all strata to come in and build government. He was no longer looking at partisan issues. Fintri dropped the political whatever and brought some of us in.
Affiliation was kept.
Then he engaged me as a member of the very serious committee on farmer herder crisis to bring peace, and he composed it made up of farmers, quite a number of us from extreme difficult areas where we've had clashes, and then he brought also associations from the herding community, and he made a committee of 8 people determined by the traditional rulers.
That's right.
And he insisted on the fact that I give you exactly 21 days to give me a document that is going to be practical, and I'm going to implement that particular thing. We work without any consideration for anything, given his own inspiration. After every 3 days, he will call. How far is this committee work going on? We'll give him. Until we finish, and we did that, then he turned that particular ad hoc committee into a standing committee. They kept moving. They were mostly the brain box of those that have given him recommendations, because they've been working with traditional rulers, farmer groups, herding groups and whatnot were already there. Virtually everybody was there. So we had this superseding work, that gave us very fantastic working relationship, enough for us to be in position to call on any movement, any occurrence, to summon personalities and whatnot involved in those crises, set them on to give us solutions immediately. That he did passionately, and that he did with all kind consideration and seriousness, because he was always on the toes of the security services. Sometimes he used to have information better than even the security services, due to the fact that he's been able to organize his traditional rulers. I think it's only in Adamawa State that you can hear the traditional rulers of that particular place, even first class, are brought in and placed somewhere for capacity building, and all of them will be there. And presently there is another ambitious one he's running for all the 120 district heads, in the state, through the Ministry of Chieftaincy Affairs, which quite a number of us are also engaged in it. So Amadou Fintri did his best on that, to insist on certain structures in place, good enough that he is doing quite a number of things that other states are not doing. One, he has a fantastic working document and a manual that spells exactly how to even settle crisis and do arbitration, you know, in the case there is anything that happens in any locality. One. Number two, he has succeeded in also segmenting the issues and leaving them to have their merit, you know, on the spot of occurrence, where the district heads, the traditional rulers are given the opportunity to solve these problems before they are misunderstood. And he has gotten also into a very ambitious program of partnering with people that are training the capacity of people like me and you in the media. You know, presently there are well over 30 journalists from Adamawa and Taraba due to his own initiative, where the search for common grounds have succeeded in bringing those in the media to teach them techniques of managing and to do reports that will rather attend to conflict resolution issues rather than finding whatever it is and setting fire on the whole thing. So he's been there, he has done it differently, he has done it with the traditional rulers, he has done it with the media, and he's doing it with quite a number of associations and even the political holders.
So the scope is wide.
Yeah, the scope is wide.
That's quite commendable.
Yeah, he's actually bringing up capacity of quite a number of people there. If you meet any ordinary person from Adamawa State and you ask him what's the status of this, they'll comfortably tell you, yes, it was bad, now it is good. And we have a model that we've also extended part of it to Taraba State, you know, that is joining hands with us, you know, to actually look at how to solve the cross-boundary and border issues, you know, that are very notorious about cattle rustling, you know, about farmer-herder clashes, about crops, whatever. When you get in there, definitely you'll also accept that the farmers are behaving and the herders are also going on. And that also gave it to him that before he sets out the law and to fashion out issues of cattle routes for grazing, good enough to stop all these clashes, he's already putting committees, you know, doing some plans and trying to put them together. And all these things are working for good. And that's why you can see that we're having relative calm as far as that is concerned. At a point, we had the worst scenario. But I tell you, Finty dropped it down to where it is presently.
Talking about that worst scenario, and well, your efforts are, the governor's efforts are quite commendable. You know, I used to remember Yola, the Adamawa State capital, you know, with this spectacle of street urchins or reprobates that are called admirals elsewhere, but in Yola they are called the Sheila boys. They never blinked an eye when they slit the throat of an innocent person and rob the person. But today, that spectacle is gone. What was the magic wand that the governor used?
Yeah. You know, first let's get back into the background of how the Sheila boys came to exist. If you take stock, and from statistics which the government is working on, trying to do profiles of every small person that is caught doing that, you'll understand that most of those kids have been migrant children, you know, from, you know, the trouble zones of Borno, and quite a number of them are those ones that come around the place, you know, for other obvious reasons. But we started noticing this within the period of the IDPs, where sometimes the people that are not indigents, you know, from other places that have been displaced, come into the state and now live, you know, without their children going somewhere. Now, let me just give you what he did. On the security aspect of it, he gave stern warning and insisted that something must be done, and that should be beyond just the normal things done. One, if you are raised a child with that kind of a tendency, what you do is, first, you must get every record about him. His name, the name of his father, where he's coming from.
That's right.
You know, his mother, his father. Sometimes on that sheet, which I've seen to be very, very ambitious because I'm part of the planning, who is the grandfather, who is the grandmother, you know, like you do in serious history sourcing, whatever. So you can know that this child is coming from so place, and this is his pedigree, and this is the reason why he's out there. I tell you that the government did its best, you know, scale down, and is having good records on a number of them. And once you get them, you don't just punish them. What you do with them is you bring them into some kind of organization that is going to help in remanding them and giving them, you know, what they sincerely require. If you go to all correctional centers in Yola, wherever somebody is brought in as a Sheila boy, after the criminal aspect is done, you know, the rehabilitation issue is there. And that is working fine. But more to it is about what it does to connect with the parents of those people. There is a special project kept somewhere, which I may not like to disclose for certain reasons, you know, of ethics, you know, to the fact that they are following them one after the other. And no Sheila boy comes in, does one thing or the other, and goes out there. He's been able also to work towards getting the actual nerve of the ringleaders, you know, whoever they are. Because usually some of these kids, when they come, they're helpless, they have nothing to do. You know, they find themselves going to pick 1, 2, 3 things and then take them to some kingpins, you know, that will sell those things and do other things. But all this is far gone. Well, when something happens, even if it's for a year, us in the media, what we do is we keep talking about it as if it's still there. But I assure you, I don't want to enjoy good night life now in Yola.
We'll get to that.
Yes, I think so.
That.
You know, there are very good places where you can go safely and
we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I will allow Dr. John Ngamsa to tell us about nightlife in Yola when we begin to talk about infrastructural development. But after this short breather, please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
In the beginning, God created a beautiful world.
3, 2, 1. Action.
And that's why, at KAFTAN Television,
we imagine a beautiful world.
We are not just bragging.
We blaze the trail in broadcasting. And it is about you.
At KAFTANTV, broadcasting is not just about information, education, and entertainment.
It's an aggregation of all you need to know in Nigeria
and around the world to create signal.
At KAFTAN Television, we have all it takes to be on top in broadcasting.
Our mission is simple: to project Africa in a truthful yet positive manner.
Wait, we're coming to you in style.
Here we are, starting for September.
Take a look at what the facts are.
And as you say on KAFTAN TV, imagine a beautiful world.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, you are tuned to the Polity, coming to you live from Abuja studios of King Adamawa Film and Theatre Arts Network, commonly referred to as KAFTAN TV. My name still remains Macauley Hunohashi, and with me in the studio, having this beautiful conversation, is Dr. John Ngamsa, Special Advisor to Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri of Adamawa State on Communications and Strategy. Doc, we don't take your presence for granted. We thank you for still remaining with me in the studios.
Thank you for that, courtesy.
Now, let's shift gears to something quite phenomenal. The governor of Adamawa State, Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri, your boss, has just signed into law a bill creating 83 new districts. What does he want to achieve?
Like I told you, Adamawa State is
Well, before you go further, let me explain to our viewers that our telephone line will be displayed on the screen so that our vibrant callers can begin to call in to make the program interactive and conversational. Please do call in. The telephone number is there. As usual, it is your show. Doctor, go ahead.
Yeah. You know, he's my boss, and nobody expects that I should not, but one way or the other, I'm the person that will not say what's not right about somebody, but I've seen him do a lot of right things. That is why I'm close to him. And I would like to insist on the fact that what he has is a fantastic master plan to solve quite a number of problems. Like earlier on when I was talking to you, I told you that Adamawa State has a unique distinction of having nothing less than 80-something ethnic nationalities that are existing into what you call tribes in courts. You know, we don't want to call ourselves tribes. You know, we rather call ourselves ethnic people or nationalities, in as much as the English will never call themselves English tribe, but they will say English people. So we have nothing less than 80 different nationalities that have cultural expressions and historical giving. And one of the most robust things you'll find there is the existence of what obtains when it comes to cultural preservation. Imagine 83 different ethnic groups with 83 different types of dances, with 83 different types of fabric, with 83 different types, you know, that kind of a thing.
That's right.
So if opportunity is given for people to bring out cultural expressions, and district heads are made to also be responsible enough to do such kind of promotion, that tells you that he has something at heart to actually make everybody be and feel part, you know, of this particular way of trying to engage people. Traditional rulers, whether you like them or you hate them, are the class that you cannot do away with a wave of hand. If the white man will come into Africa and deceive you into discarding your own monarchs and yet maintain their own in is it Great Britain or UK or England or whatever it is, it's a country with 3 names, and still the monarchy is the apex. Why can't we do our own and give them the respect that they sincerely require, at least to do whatever it is that is there? But given to it, I think my governor has come to the full understanding of the fact that once that is done, he's going to have a reservoir of people spreading across all the networks of the state, good enough to give him the kind of input he needs in terms of information, in terms of whatever it is that he will generate, at least to incorporate into making the rural communities relevant at all, you know, that kind of a thing. And don't forget that this initiative is not necessarily his own alone. You know, even the traditional rulers require that, you know, as some form of addition to give them the opportunity to have space that they can get those that are responsible enough at least to come and generate information that will help them to do governance effectively. So to my mind, it's a way of making people to have part of their own aspirations linked to the government intention, at least to build the system and to make the traditional ruling institutions very viral and good enough, at least to function. So to me, that is it. And that's exactly what's in his mind. And by making this and asking people to apply, you know, the process is well written, clearly stated, with regulations. It's a robust guideline that is written itself by the traditional rulers. Okay. So anybody who hear him talk about that is just doing his own thing.
I'm going to talk about, you know, possible pushbacks and reactions. Let's take this caller.
Yes, thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon. You're on to the Polity. Please go ahead. Your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Prince Hassan Danzumi from Jalingo, Taraba State.
Okay, Prince Hassan, please go ahead with your contribution.
I am very glad for you people focusing in Adamawa this afternoon.
We appreciate you.
And I appreciate the program so well. And I want to thank you for showcasing Dr. John Ngamsa.
Beautiful.
Truly, we are proud of Governor Fintri of Adamawa State.
Okay.
If we in Nigeria we have people like Umaru Fintri, I think we in Taraba, especially Taraba, will be a better place.
Okay.
Umaru Fintri have shown what a leader is supposed to do for his people.
Okay.
And we only pray for God Almighty to protect and guide him. For Mr. Ngamsa, who is my former, let me say, lecturer, 12 years back, I want to thank him for bringing this program. I'm proud of you people.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your call this afternoon, Hassan, from all the way from Taraba State, a contiguous state to Adamawa. Doctor, you know, the Governor Ahmad Fintri has assured members that this will be reviewed from time to time to reflect emerging realities. But let me mention the fact that, you know, a close look at the document on the new arrangement shows that Mayobalua, Madagali, Ngamsa, and Hong local government area councils have the largest number of new districts, as the four of them have 7 each. You know, Fofore and Jada have 5 each, while Michika, Gombe, Yola South, Meha, Mubi North, Mubi South, and some local government areas have 4 each. Sheleng, Gire, Ganye, Numan, and Lamode have 3 each, while Tongo has 2. These are local governments in Adamawa State, you know, where you have these districts created from. Are you expecting any pushback, you know, because there will be reactions?
Yeah, you see, you'll have a pushback when people don't understand, you know, the context of what is set to be done. Now, these districts are not to be created independent of the already existing traditional ruling institutions that cover the space of Adamawa State. Now, you'll accept with me that there are first-class rulers that have traditional domains that cover some of those areas. The first class in Mubi, you know, there's first class in Yola, there is first class in the Bachama Kingdom, there's one in Bata Kingdom, and there's one in Nura Kingdom, that is Guyuk, there's one in Ganye, and then Shelang. So you have a space of that kind of traditional ruling network, you know, that has demands for the creation, which is endorsed by the traditional rulers themselves. So it is not that this creation is being done based on any local government or any ethnic giving or whatever it is. Like I told you, that if all these nationalities will demand for what is required of them, you know, it's going to be a situation where you will have nothing less than 80 traditional rulers seeking for, you know, the space of either being second or first-class rulers. Now, the argument comes in that these people are not doing that for that reason. What he is doing is to work within the space of what is already provided, good enough for the traditional rulers to have enough administrative space to get what is required of them when it is time for budgeting purposes, when it is time to solve security problems, and when it is time to also get ample information that is going to be of interest to state creation and to whatever it is. So to my understanding, you don't look at it as if it's a democratic thing. You know, in as much as it must be backed by law, which is right, you know, but it's something that is going to be a starter to quite a number of things that will come. So there is nobody who is being discriminated against, but allowing people to apply and to express, I think is part of the most serious democratic process of engagement, which will make people to also participate in working out a system that is going to be for them. So to my understanding, he's not looking down on anybody. To my understanding, he is opening the space. And to my understanding, he's going to make reviews. And by the time you make the review, and it's time for it, he's going to take an appropriate decision that will ensure that such district heads function, at least to the benefit of government itself.
Well, I've listened to people who are cynical, and they are arguing that it has a tendency of whittling down the powers of some first-class traditional rulers. How true is that?
No, that cannot be. A first-class traditional ruler is already a first-class traditional ruler.
What about
remember, no. The jurisdiction is not going to break a district. Let's say it's not going to take a district, you know,
away from you.
Yeah, no, not away from you. And by the time you even look at the traditional rulers, I assure you they are too composed. They are highly elitist. They are well educated. They know their backgrounds and they know what to do. They are not living in any conflict amidst themselves. All these districts that will be created will still be within those domains. But then it depends on the administration, which I assure you that Governor Modu Fintre is not taking for granted. It's not something I should come and tell you here, but I assure you that on Need to Know, I can tell you that the document he has worked for this particular thing to be, it's a very serious document that there won't be any error or whatever it is. However, you are not going to allow anybody to catch on what you are doing, you know, in order to destroy it. But we know that in government sometimes there are certain things you give straight, there are certain things you pass under the table, because it's not every fact that you have to put for people too. I tell you, he's working on that particular document, and it's a perfect document. It's a document that will come out without confusion, without clashes, without confusion. It's not like he's trying to set other tribes out, you know, from others, or it's not that he's trying to do this or whatever, but there are considerations that have existed in the borders of our own existence, 500 years, 300 years, 200 years, okay, you know, on and on like that.
Okay, Doctor, let's take this caller.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, go ahead. Good afternoon. You are on to the Polity live from KAFTANTV. Please go ahead with Dr. John Ngamsa here.
All right, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Isaac Jedani. I'm calling all the way from Yola.
Isaac from Yola, please go ahead. We appreciate you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so very much. First off, I would like to commend the program.
Thank you.
And share sincere appreciation for the content that is currently going on out there right now.
Okay.
Focusing on Adamawa State. Two things I'm going to quickly comment on.
Go ahead, it's your show.
One of it is going to be a question. But first off, comment on the issue of creation of new district.
Yeah.
The Adamawa State government was opened enough by being democratic and allowing people to submit memoranda for the creation of this new district. So that on its own gives us the sense of a government that is open to everybody and has afforded everybody equal opportunity for them to take part in an open process. So I think for me, that is a score point for the administration of Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri.
Okay.
The next thing, which is going to be the question, is this. How would Dr. John Ngamsa help us to understand the philosophy of this administration as it relates to its popular mantra, leave no one behind and leave no stone unturned? Is it more of an illusion, or is something that is practical and feasible? Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Isaac. You have chuckled before you answer because you are chuckling already. Thank you for that. For that observation and the last question. Please go ahead.
Yeah, let me extend my gratitude to KAFTAN once more for opening it up for very nice and incisive contributions coming from wherever.
We appreciate that.
Let me pick from the last one. He spoke about the mantra of Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri. Definitely, I've worked in governments before.
Leave no one behind.
Yes. Leave no one behind. Take everybody alone. Make everybody to be part of this particular movement. You know, a government that is people's government. I tell you that Umaru Fintiri is unique, and he is just given to that. Even in his development projects, you know, he has given a good spread, and he's not touching, he's not leaving any other sector off. Now, with all sense of seriousness, just look at it. He's trying to improve the traditional ruling institution.
Exactly.
And like I said, there are certain things he's putting in place for them. Our traditional rulers in Adamawa State, I think they have about the best support that you can think about. You know, a lot is going round their own palaces. You don't go to any palace of a first-class ruler in Adamawa State and not be impressed by the specter of what you see. Is it the Lamido's palace? Is it the Hamapachama's palace? Is it the Hamapata's palace? Is it the Kwandinungra's palace? Is it the Amnachelan's palace? You know, is it the Ganwari of Ganye's palace? So he's making it in such a way that virtually they are also having a part of the government. The same thing goes with local governments. There's an ambitious thing that he has put in place presently. You know, the construction of model schools. They've sprouted well enough, and uniformly they're growing, and virtually that project is going to be commissioned, if not part of this year, early next year. And that tells you that every local government has that space. 300 more network of routes covering local governments, of 21 local governments. You go there, you still find things there. You meet the idea of cottage hospitals across. I think
we have the pictures of
the pictures are there for you to see. Honestly, I was shocked.
Maybe our director will be showing them.
I was shocked that a friend of mine called me, you know, from USA, and he was saying that from look of things and what they are monitoring on developments, Adamawa State appears to be the hottest developing spot in West Africa. I say, oh, is it only West Africa? Is that even Africa? Because here you have things happening and you have a very robust media that is reporting and pictures are highlighting.
These are the pictures.
Supposing, these are the pictures and these are the small things you see. This is the bridge connecting, and tremendously he's working on that place. It's a federal government project, but he has done what it takes to open the road from the upper part coming from Mubi, into the bridge. The road is expanded and good enough. The nuisance that is constituted by traffic is no longer there. These places you are seeing are pictures from other places, but you can see development sprouting, and Adamawa State in focus showing, more than enough 1,000 unit housing, just like that. And when you look at what is happening in the urban area, it goes beyond that to the rural areas, like I earlier say. The schools are getting remodeled. Quite a number of special secondary schools are being built in the 3 zones, and virtually everybody is being touched. When he wakes up in the morning, you'll be shocked to notice that he's coming back from another local government, inspecting his own project. So there's a lot going on in that place, and nobody is actually left out. And except somebody will just come out and say, I don't like Fintry for what he's doing, because it's Fintry. Then you can go ahead and do that. You are entitled to it. But you will soon be embarrassed by the fact that the number of the projects being commissioned and being highlighted are so many. I've been to other states. I see what happened there. But I come back to be proud to associate, not because I'm an appointee of the governor. I can point at, flyovers. If you go to Yola again, I think you're going to miss your way.
Exactly.
Because by the time you are going to Yola, there's a super highway connecting AA Lawal, taking through the army barracks, taking a detour. Now, if you're coming from Yola, you can comfortably not come into the town. You just take that super highway, and move straight, connect, the road from Numan to Yola, which is a federal government, whatever it is. There is a curve, of a thing going on there. So you'll accept with me that, as a matter of fact, the excitement is about the fact that Fintry's projects are not only centered in the urban areas. In fact, if you look at the concentration, what he's spending in the rural areas put together, 21 local governments, is by far more. When you get to Mubi, it's something else. There's a connecting road from home, going to Maiha and Mubi. That's like a bypass. Everywhere is receiving attention and touches. So that he is the kind of person that he won't even talk to you. I call him speed of light. When you wake up in the morning and you are here to see your governor, the next moment is he's coming back from Shella.
Speed of light.
Speed of light. Yeah, speed of light. That's my new name for him. I think the fresh air is enough. But we're going to be having speed of light now.
Okay.
Speed of light.
We're being joined by S.O. Dudu from Cross River State. He's our regular caller and is the KAFTAN ambassador in Cross River State. S.O. Dudu, it's your turn.
Imagine a beautiful Nigeria with KAFTAN TV.
Thank you, S.O. Dudu. Please, you're welcome.
Imagine a beautiful Adamawa State with KAFTAN TV.
Amen. Imagine a beautiful Adamawa.
Good afternoon to my very amiable and workaholic host, Mr. Hunohashi Macauley.
Thank you, S.O. Dudu.
Good afternoon
Dr.
John Ngamsa, the Special Advisor to the Governor on Communication and Strategy, Governor of Adamawa State. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Let me first of all appreciate KAFTAN TV for this wonderful opportunity they are availing we Nigerians.
Thank you, S.O. Dudu.
Actually contribute to the development of the country and our states in particular.
That's right.
May God continue to bless KAFTAN TV.
Amen. S.O. Dudu, it's your show.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been listening to the Special Advisor, the Don, for the past 1 hour. And they have been rolling out well-articulated policy and programs of the Right Honorable Fintry, the Governor of Adamawa State. Let me lend my voice. Yes, my sister is in Mubi, and we have been communicating. We do talk. We do talk. As I speak, I am sure after the burial, she's on her way back to Mubi today. The governor has been performing, and she has been confirming it. Considering when they went to Mubi
And now, she has been applauding the governor for very wonderful work the governor has been doing. Most especially, if you look at the location of Mubi, most especially to the area of Madagali to Cameroon, the governor has been working most especially in the area of security. And you see, there's a nexus between security infrastructure and a working traditional institution.
Yeah.
This is where I want to take up the governor. I must commend him.
Wow.
If you want to fight insecurity, you must make sure you have a very good traditional institution, because they are the custodian of whatsoever that is happening in our community. And without security, there can never be development.
That's right.
Look at, I just saw the picture you presented on the television. If you don't have a professor of infrastructure, you can never have this kind of achievement. I appreciate the governor.
That's
and
right.
For this singular decision he has taken by ensuring that he carry the people along in the creating of the new district, by ensuring that we want to devolve power to the people. And by devolving power to the people will now reciprocate this by ensuring that security will be guaranteed. Because without security, all its efforts will be in vain. So I pray the governor should succeed in this. Those that will be given the responsibility as the new district head, they should make sure they work hard to support the governor, so that the governor will deliver the true dividend of democracy to the people of Adamawa State. Thank you so much. Thank you, the special advisor to the governor. This is what we want.
Exactly.
All states should be coming to KAFTANTV
Exactly.
and showcase what they have actually achieved for the past 2 years.
That's right.
In the present administration. May God continue to bless us. Subsequently, I will still call S. Odudu calling from Cross River State.
S. Odudu, you shall call. It's your show. Call back as much as you can while the show continues. Doctor, react to some of the things he raised.
Yeah.
Full of commendation.
Good. You see, I'm excited that this man is from the southern part of the country, and his sister is in Mubi, and the sister is talking about the security existing there. Let me tell you, Governor Amadou Fintri has given us his aids, a lot of confidence to move anywhere and tell the world that there is a system that is working here. Come and take this model and go on. I'm excited about him. I should not show it here. But now, the situation, particularly picking from the last discussion of the man there, that says it's good that he's walking around the traditional institutions, and he hopes that that is going to be what it is. Ambitiously, and part of the scheme, invited to train the 120 district heads.
Okay.
Into 3-3-day capacity building.
Okay.
We've just had one for 40, in the central zone, at the nick of which he called for an expanded security meeting, at least to brief them again on what is required to be done. Now, let me just give you a bit about it. What he's trying to do is to set up, an event and occurrences recording diary.
Okay.
Daily. As a district head. You have a template of what you enter about the things that happen there. At the end of the day, that goes to your traditional ruler.
Within your
domain. Within your domain. In 6 months, it goes to the government, chieftaincy and security department of the government. And by the time he looks at it, nothing gets him surprised in 24 hours about any occurrence at all. And I can look into the template of training, which Amadou Fintri himself
Where did he borrow this template from?
Well, I don't know. He generated it. He's a very creative person. Let me tell you, he takes his time to read. There are times you go to see him if he's on a page, You have to leave him there until it is true before you talk to him. And he has a lot of energy. And you'll be shocked to notice that he's somebody who is prepared for the work. He came in for it, and so he's there. He's doing some personal development work, and he's engaging experts in the field. You know, personally, I'm in communications. He brought me by force.
Exactly. Okay.
And there are other people in security. He brought them. We have generals all in his team. Yeah.
So let's take this next caller.
All right.
Hello, good afternoon. You're on to the Polity live from KAFTAN TV. Go ahead, please. Your name and where you're calling from.
Good afternoon.
Padadi, I was expecting your call. Padadi from Adamawa State. Go ahead, Padadi.
Thank you.
Your brother is here on the hot seat.
Good afternoon to our one and only doctor, our son, whom we are well proud of, Dr. John Ngamsa.
Thank you, Padadi. Go ahead. You're a regular caller.
He has been doing in the studio for the past some hours now.
Thank you, Padadi.
Currently, doctor has said it all. In terms of security, I think if we were to score Governor Ahmadu Fintiri, we were to score him 100 over 100.
Wow.
And the creation of new district comes at the right time. Yes. The creation of the new district, I think to me, the governor has timed it right. And in terms of infrastructures development, it's something you can see and touch. Yes, it's not just something that is a here, you assume it's a hearsay. Fintiri has done excellent in that aspect. But my call to the government is that government should put more effort in terms in agri sector. That's for the rainy season production. Government should focus on the agricultural sector so that the ease depends on the hardship on people, and they can come in and assist those who cannot be able to go into the dry season production. Thank you.
Thank you, Padadi. You've heard his commendation. Yeah. And he's calling from, he's on ground. He's calling from Yola. And he's also called on Governor Fintiri to do something about agriculture. Yeah. Could you respond to that, please?
You know, like I told you, that Adamawa State is blessed. Let me just say, it's the most blessed part of Nigeria. If you're talking about land to farm, you're talking about animal to raise, you're talking about our rivers, you're talking about our output in terms of what it is. You will know that the southern part of Adamawa, particularly where I come from, and I guess where you come from too, if I'm meant to understand, the soil there is so settling and fantastic that once you farm rice, the rice from that place, it's always better than the rice from any other part.
You're right.
Now, when you have to go into Lamudi local government, into Tigno, where tons of rice is being moved out of that particular place to places like Jigawa, Lagos and whatnot, on a day you can just count more than 50 different trucks pulling out things there. So Adamawa is really blessed. And it is not by accident. Those places used to be trouble areas where people nearly abandoned, farming and whatnot. But the security initiative Governor Fintiri brought to maintain law and order in those places have allowed people now moving in. I was shocked when I was going to check, the farm of one of my younger brothers. I made a lot of Igbos and Yoruba people, going in there and doing a lot of farming, for themselves. So people from other parts of the state even go in there to do. It's due to his ability and the space he has created for people to do farming activities. And I tell you, that is the reason why he worked on this farmer harder crisis thing to stop. And now people can go to farm. Yes, we raise food. But in addition to it, like I told you, that the greatest problem we're having is Cameroon.
Yeah.
It's a national issue. Our currency is getting weaker nationally. Their money is getting stronger. They come in to mop and to go. But yet, we have an initiative which he's trying to set to regulate the movement of food, being taken cheaply out of the state. So that is going to add to our own food security, good enough for you to do formal things. He's opening markets and doing his best to insist that even the local markets there are under control with storage facilities good enough to go. And then there's also an ambitious thing he's doing. That is acquiring land for government direct engagement in farming, in addition to what communities do. good enough for him at least to work out a food security policy that is going to demand that so percentage of whatever it is that is raised from the community should be kept for hard moments or some kind of things like that. He's planning good initiatives. I think if that kind of a master plan at that micro level is given attention and you replicate it nationally, you are likely going to get a food secured nation, that is going to be. So as for implements and startups, he's already into it.
Okay.
Ahmadu Fintri is giving startups for farmers. He is buying equipment. Fertilizers are always right on time and equitably distributed. Not hoarded and kept by some other persons, because the distribution level, sometimes he will not start it. You'll go to the units where all these farmers are and do the distribution there. So it doesn't have to get into any market before it gets anywhere. It gets direct to them. So we're looking at how robust this particular policy is going to be and how the engagement is going to work at least to be. So there is no fear, because Adamawa is one of the states you can farm rice almost throughout the year. There's the dry season and there's the rainy season part, and now people are even mastering the utilization of water resources in there, at least to make up, for what is required, because in the dry season you get the better yield.
Okay, Dr. Ngamsa, you work with the governor of Adamawa State, Right Honorable Ahmadu Umaru Fintri, at a very, very close proximity. In fact, you have his, you have his ears as his special advisor on communications and strategy.
Yes.
When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu established the Ministry of Livestock Development, you must have, felt the reaction from your principal. How was it like? I'm asking this question against the backdrop of the fact that Adamawa State occupies a very, very vital position in terms of livestock production in this country, as well as dairy products. Yeah,
for a very serious gain, let me give the President Ahmed Tinubu the credit of actually doing something that is landmark. Creating this ministry is one of the best things that can happen to the entirety of this nation, because you will have been in a position where you will administer issues of livestock very well. But before that, there is the National Livestock Transformation Program, the NLTP, that have been into existence for quite some time, where given Fintri's ingenuity and seriousness as to how to go about this management, we have a Ministry of Livestock in Adamawa State. It's just a replication.
Yes.
Perhaps maybe the federal government even picked from us, and now they're establishing it because of the importance of what cattle is.
It is not unlikely.
Yes, it's not unlikely. So, I tell you that Adamawa is like New York of Nigeria. It's where the light is, presently. Don't forget that for the excitement and the achievements of Umaru Fintri, the presidency, the present government gave him the award of the best performing governor. So I believe there's something in this government that has something to do with my own state, and I see the connection. So let me be frank and on notice to tell you that Ahmadu Umaru Fintri is the first to adopt, the issue of piloting the issue of grazing reserve, at Gungoshi, in Mayabalua local government of our own state. It's a model. He's moving on. He has put a lot of resources into it, and that particular space have helped in dousing a lot of tension and perhaps providing a space, where herders, even transhumans, can come and live there for some time before they start going. Out of which camp, there are pointers, there are education leaflets, there are people and field workers that interact with them and give them knowledge of how they're going to go. So I'm excited when you taught that aspect to tell you that from the beginning, I told you that we have the largest concentration of animals, in terms of cattle, in this federation. So it's part of our wealth of expectation that when we put all this together, we're going to have a lot coming even back into our own states in terms of trading and doing a lot of livestock business.
Okay, how optimistic are you?
Yeah, very, very optimistic.
Very optimistic.
I'm aware of the plan, and I know how my governor is working and what he's putting in place. Sometimes he's not the type that like making noise. He will not even tell you, go do this. You'll just see it happening. And even as his media aide, sometimes we have to be running after him to know before you know what's happening, he's commissioning. That's why initially I was trying to call him Speed of the Light.
Okay. What about land? What about farmers? What does he have for them in the next farming season, particularly with the livestock development ministry coming on board?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of activities. He has engaged the livestock ministry, and they're receiving a lot of partnership, sponsorship, from World Bank and other development banks all over to ensure that some of these things he's doing are actually put in the right perspective. There's no two way about the fact that the attention is given to security. It's very much in the area of how to manage, because our problem there in Adamawa is mainly, the farmer harder thing, which has been put behind. So if you manage the livestock well and you do the administration effectively, you are going to also be in position to control, the kind of crises that are likely to come up. So everybody will live in his own space and everybody will do that which is right. I think that has been done and that is right. So I can comfortably tell you that his plan for agriculture is not also left out of his budget.
Okay.
So one exciting thing you would like to peep through is to have a look at Fintri's budget. Budgets previously, and particularly this one that is going to come down is going to be a masterpiece. And I always tell you that every year he has something to do, which is always ahead. And no wonder he got the best performing governor under Buhari regime.
That's right.
And now he has gotten it already now. And I assure you that the state that is going to pick from us will still have to work harder. So I assure you that he's up there with it.
Well, Doctor, we're winding down. Let me ask you this question. Pipe-borne water for drinking and other domestic purposes have been problematic in Adamawa State, including the state capital of the state, Yola, and some other, high-profile cities like Mubi and Numa. And one begins to wonder, these are towns, particularly Jimeta, Yola, and Numan, are on the banks of River Benue, but you don't have pipe-borne water.
Well, I tell you that sometimes, it's good to make such an observation, but not to say that nothing is in the offing to take care of it. What I know about my governor, particularly in that water sector, is there's what you put as long-term plan, there's short-term. On the short-term, he has been ambitiously engaged in drilling boreholes within circles of wards, local governments, and units good enough to make that interventionist, whatever it is.
Okay, we're being joined by Olumide. All our thoughts there. We're going to continue on that line of thoughts.
All right.
But let's have Olumide, who is calling us from Jabi. Olumide, it's your turn, please. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you very much. I think Adamawa is partnered to the north. I want to ask him, what is their percentage on budget on education for next year, or we could start from this year? And what are their efforts in educating people in the rural area? Because that is my own concern. Because I know when we all know better, we will start thinking better and behave better. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Olumide. You have heard this question. Your projection?
Yeah, the projection in education is highly ambitious. And let me tell you that previously my governor has done a lot in engaging and building school infrastructure. Like I told you, that the model schools he's building is in the 21 local governments, which is going to engage the primary and junior secondary school. You have them now in good shape, one of the best structures ever, standing in every local government. If you need the pictures, you will see them. Number two, don't forget that he has scholarship scheme that he has maintained for students of tertiary institutions, and on good notice, they've been coming out to commend that his effort. That is not even enough. But then there's an initiative that he just brought for the girl child under partnership, with the World Bank. They call it the Agile Program, AF. The Agile Program, AF, is to bring out the enrollment of female students more into the schools. And he pumped in counterpart funding good enough at least to sustain that particular project. It's going on, campaigns are moving on, and school enrollment of female girls are on the increase, and virtually the school system is taking shape. I tell you that he's one person that have been serious about education itself, and he's moving on not to joke with it. Even where he's placing value to it is where he's adding issues of human development, and ensuring that virtually nobody malingers out of school. You know, there is a plan, master plan, and a very good one. It has been implemented. And I tell you that some of these schemes are coming with the idea of the campaigns of letting parents know that in near future, I guess he's going to launch that next year or something like that, that if they catch you with a child who is in school, at school age, that is not enrolled in school, definitely you will have the wrath of the law to face.
Okay.
So it's an initiative that I assure my caller that my governor is not leaving any space unturned, and he's also putting in his best to ensure that everything is working fine. I think it's a working engine. Maybe very soon, I'm likely going to open up an initiative where we can open KAFTAN, invite them into Adamawa State, come and see what we do, and your cameras will come back and tell our story.
We'll be ready for that.
Thank you very much.
Doctor, let me ask you about, you talked about education. What about the, out of school children in Adamawa State? Because it's been, in recent times, it's been a major source of concern for, the umbrella body of governors. That's the Nigerian Governors Forum, particularly Northern Governors Forum. They are talking about how to tackle and bring to an end this menace of Almajiri, that is out of school children. What's their governor telling you from the meetings they've been having? Yeah,
my governor has been a very sound person making observations. I remember during the COVID period when
this exchange.
Yeah, we had a lot of Almajiri children roaming about our streets. But you notice in Adamawa State, as indigenous as we are, our people don't throw their children to Almajiri system. No. It's a foreign thing. These ones come from other places. And let me tell you, during that COVID period, the moment that stop came and they were all taken back to their respective states, you can move around our own streets and not see anybody holding anything. So no parent, because of our indigenous arrangement. But we're in Nigeria. People can move, they're free to go anywhere, and then you also have to wear this human face. But I can tell you that in the education sector, there is an initiative I'm aware of, because that's my larger industry. I've been teaching nearly all my working life. Exactly. As when we started earlier at the age of 24, since then up till now, I'm 60-something. That's right. I'm still teaching, and that's where my eye is. I could remember talking with him one-on-one, and he telling me that very soon there's going to be an effective way of containing that. Anybody who roams the street without anything doing will have to go back to where he's coming from. Okay. It's not to say that he's going to send them away, but he's going to tell you that he's going to have some safe areas where people can actually walk.
Okay. S.O. Dudu, you're welcome back.
Mr. is actually doing a very wonderful job.
That's right.
I want to cut it short.
Go ahead.
I have another contribution, please.
It's your show. Go ahead.
Please, Doki, please, as a matter of urgency, although you made mention of it, the governor, His Excellency, should try to address an issue that is actually become a very serious issue in the border town, Mubi most especially, whereby foreign currency is actually being used for transaction inside Adamawa State, inside Nigeria, and it is contributing seriously in weakening the naira.
Okay.
And because of that, since the currency to a very large extent has more value than the naira at this point in time, you see traders, they prefer selling to those coming from outside country than selling to Nigerians or the citizens of Adamawa State. It is not a good idea. Please, the governor should do something. I know we have our border is so porous. This is not within the purview of the governor, but the governor, as the chief security officer of the state, if he cannot do it, he can run to the president so that the state security that is actually in charge of this, they should be mandated to actually do the needful. Because if you check, like in Cross River State, in IDPs most especially, IDPs is just like Mubi. No, we are in the same axis. IDPs is just like Mubi. From just like Mubi to this Maragali axis to Cameroon. That is how we have IDPs, you get to Cork and the other axis of Cameroon, this southern part. But this is not too common here. So please, the governor should do something in this regard.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So Dudu, all the way from Cross River State, our ambassador in Cross River.
Yeah, I think I'm excited about what he's saying. This man is excited to be somebody who lives in Mubi.
Exactly.
But it's quite, his sister that lives there, and she must be giving him some good information.
Exactly.
Well, that's quite commendable. And let me tell you, it has come severally to our notice. If you listen to our first part of our discussion, I told you the encumbrance of Adamawa State in terms of maintaining nothing less than 500 straight kilometers of a border. Now, for a state of this sort, for even strategic reasons and security reasons, one anticipates that the larger part of what will be done, at least in this regard, is what the federal government should put in place about border patrols. The governor doesn't have the police. The governor is not in control of the army. And even for the army, by Geneva Conventions and whatnot, you dare not allow your own military men to come so kilometers to the border for very obvious reasons. However, now I wanted to appreciate the uniqueness of this, and I've led that as part of our major problem. The governor cannot be president in Adamawa. He can only give a situation report.
That's like Odudu.
Yes, just like Odudu is doing, and he has done. And let me tell you, there have been reports and critical engagements on how to actually tackle some of these things. And that is the reason why our governor is doing a lot in trying to formalize market spaces. He's building one of the most organized and about the busiest, which will control nearly every resources that come in there for sale, good enough for control to be. So that even if you are coming from Chad or Cameroon to come and buy something in Yola, you will not get the essential one just outside the street and do some black market or something like that. You have to come into the actual marketing zone, and by the time that market is finished, would have been taking exactly that control. He is not the kind of person you will say that he's not aware. He is very aware of some of these things, and I tell you, regularly you see him calling the service commanders close to him, addressing some of those issues and more. But there is a problem that the federal government will have to come to intervene, at least to make sure that certain things work on. Just like we did with security, we are going to do so too. It's a question of currency. You devalue it in Naira, it applies to Nigeria. They increase their own value in Cameroon, is to their own advantage. So now the issues of control will have to be what the federal government will do. But I assure you that the state government and the federal government are partners in progress, because we feel that particular difficulty more. And so we're working around it, and something good will come out of it.
Well, Dr. Ngamsa, as we went down, I can guess the response to this next question. It has become a tradition in Nigeria that when governors are serving their second term, at the end of it all, they'll be thinking of going to the Senate, even though it's not yet time for campaigns for 2027. Why are you chuckling? It's not yet for 2027 campaigns. But I have noticed in recent times that your governor's attention has shifted to, he's getting media visibility at the national scale, within his own political party, the People's Democratic Party. What is he telling you? Is he taking a shot at something at the center, or he wants to go to the Senate? What is he telling you? Or what are you advising him?
That question would have gone to him directly. But being his media aid and looking at his work and strategically trying to place what he does, I noticed that he has the preparedness, even if he doesn't like it, he can take up a national shot and be whatever he wants. That's the aspiration of virtually everybody. And it is good that if somebody is coming to be the president of Nigeria, let that person be a governor first, and then he steps in. You can see that Ahmed Tinubu, who was a governor, and now he's here, and governance issues are not giving him problems. Whatever it is, no matter the difficulties. So I look at my governor as somebody that I will not even allow to rest. I will be part of those people that would like to push him to come to national limelight, to do exactly what he has done back home, at least for the nation. But if that is not on his mind for now, then we have to spare him. But if that is what is on his mind, I would like to call people from other places, just like you're appreciating his projects all over, to know that once you have such a person at the center, definitely he's going to do a lot. So I pray. We want to also have a president from Adamawa State.
I think I quite agree with you that what he has done at the macroscopic level can be applied at the national scale. But let me ask you the very last question, with expecting a very short response. I've listened to him say he's not going to hand over to a successor that is not a grassroots politician. What does that mean?
What do you want? You want him to hand over to a politician that is not grassroots? Now, what he's trying to do is to tell the politicians, if you want to be the governor of Adamawa State, be a grassroots politician. I think it's a pointer to the whole thing that nobody is going to come from somewhere to just hijack it along the line and not do what is expected of him. So to me, it's a wonderful political warning. Yeah, calculation. At least so that you don't just think you are coming from New York without understanding the grassroots to come and hijack the whole thing. So well, it's quite on a lighter note.
Thank you so very much, Dr. John Ngamsa, Special Advisor to the Governor of Adamawa State on Communications and Strategy, for coming to the Polity.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Macauley. It's nice and smart being in KAFTAN. I'm really excited.
We're excited.
Yeah,
we are
KAFTAN is great enough. I think
we're more than excited.
Lovely enough. I like the smartness and the engineers and the who and what here.
Well, on that note, this is how far we can go on today's edition on the Polity. My name is Macauley Hunohashi. Thanks for joining us and see you next time. God bless Nigeria.